My name is Eric Padilla. I'm luthier and owner of Carmel Guitar Company. And, my business partner, Todd Flory, and I started the company. We're trying to make instruments more accessible, quality instruments more accessible to the masses. I've been playing music my whole life, guitar for the better part of the last 10 years. Todd is a lifelong musician, and I've been a musician my whole life as well, and a woodworker, and have been building guitars for the last 4 years, specifically flat top steel string acoustic guitars. Sorry. Try to do business with woods that have a low impact on the environment, and also woods that are native to California and grown here in the United States. We have everything from Macassar ebony, this is from Africa. We have Madagascar rosewood. They use these for fingerboards, backs and sides, things like that. All the way to woods that are native to California, like Claro walnut here for backs and sides. Really nice fiddleback figure, and great color variations and things. So order, you Sitka spruce for tops, Sitka spruce, Engelmann spruce. We also do Western red cedar, which is another great wood. We like to buy, as opposed to buying a lot of our wood from luthier supply shops, most of it, as much as we can anyway, we buy the rough sawn lumber ourselves. And we could be a little picky with what we get, but we could also use a lot of woods that other people wouldn't normally accept as instrument grade necessarily, but we feel is perfectly good and good enough quality to make. All the back bracing is done with cedar, both Fort Orford cedar for the back bracing and for the actual cross bracing, and the seam strips are all done with Western red cedar. We have different options and things available. We work with supplied woods. All of our guitars are built completely with wood, no plastic bindings whatsoever. I don't feel like a guitar there's any place for plastic on an instrument. You know, solid wood back and sides, and the best, tightest grain spruce tops. We like to do things that are a little different, maybe out of the ordinary for most builders. We feel like being different is something that that we take pride in. This is where we store all the wood for all the guitars we build. We keep this room at a controlled temperature and humidity, around 70 to 75 degrees at 40 to 50% relative humidity. So all the wood is stabilized and stickered so air can flow through, and as well as the workshop is also kept at the same temperature and humidity. A lot of the guitars that we'll build, the bindings, the backs, the sides, and all the accents will all be from the same tree. For us here at Carmel Guitars, we feel like as long as things are structurally sound, things like small pinholes, small knots, and things like that in the wood are part of the beauty of what the wood is, and can add a lot of character and quality to the instrument without necessarily making it a weaker or inferior as far as sound goes. That's not master grade. This isn't instrument grade things. You know what I mean? But this wood as a whole is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's got all that is figure all the way throughout that whole log. I mean, it almost looks like ice cream. You know, it almost looks like marbled ice cream. And even though there may be slight imperfections that we could avoid, sometimes there's other small little knots and pinholes that I think just totally add to the beauty of it. I mean, this piece of wood is going to sound incredible once it's built. It's still extremely strong and stable. While 90% of our guitars are made by hand, there is a certain small amount that we do take advantage of technology around CNC machining. And we take advantage of these services because they are consistently accurate. Bridges, for example, are all done by CNC machining. Designer Grains, Sean Sennett at Designer Grains helps us with these in Watsonville, and also cut down on work-related stress injuries that we would get if we were to produce some of these parts by hand in the quantities that we need to. Our bridges start off as rough stock. This is ebony, and then we also do rosewood. They start off as rough stock, and we shape them to certain dimensions and supply them to the machinist, who then rough cuts parts for us. All of these braces start off square and stock, to certain dimensions, but no two pieces of wood are alike. So while some companies say that all of their tops are hand-voiced, tap-tuned, things like that, that's not always the case. A lot of times it's just a sales pitch. We do the best we possibly can in order to make the guitar live up to its full potential with the materials that we're given. We carve each top and listen to it as we carve it. Eventually I would like to expand to a larger shop, a larger area where we could accommodate more luthiers, people who are passionate about what they do, who are passionate about the way they make their living, and are genuinely interested in making quality instruments. To create an environment where people can be creative, their voices will be heard, and they can have a say in the final product, as opposed to just a standard cookie cutter instrument that has to stay consistently the same all the time. We could be a constantly evolving company. I feel like having a good, healthy, creative environment where people who are passionate about what they do are able to come into work every day and have a say in the development of new models, different artistic designs, ways to make the guitars more responsive and sound better. Luthier is pretty much a word for a stringed instrument maker, someone who works on stringed instruments, anything from violins and cellos and things like that to guitars, basses, anything with strings essentially. It's a really fancy word for guitar maker or violin maker. I'd been a woodworker, and I decided I wanted to figure out what the guitar was all about. At the same time, looking for something that what I was going to do with my life. What was I going to be when I grew up? And I realized that I was holding an instrument in my hands. I was fascinated with what I was doing, and maybe the answer was right there. Also, just taking apart all the instruments that I had and putting them all back together. In some cases successfully, in some cases not so successfully. And that's pretty much when I decided to do this for a living and to pursue it full time. And I was lucky enough to have the means to do so. You can't really have one part not working. If one part's out of sync with the rest of the instrument, it really will show.
What motivates you to continue?
My motivation in building these instruments comes from a lot of different places. Mostly being a musician, I feel like everybody, in all honesty, deserves a quality instrument. People who play music do so, for the majority of the time anyway, because they're extremely passionate about it. Because it allows you to express yourself on a level that sometimes words just can't convey. I literally plan on doing the legwork just exactly that way, just literally walking into music shops, concert venues, lounges, cafes, anywhere where musicians might be, with a number of different styles of instruments and different shapes and sizes with different materials, and introducing myself, having them play what I've created, and hoping that I can pair certain people who are interested in purchasing an instrument with something that will make them happy. So the Go Bar deck is one of the examples of where we stick with tradition. This has been a method of clamping on braces and things like that on violins for centuries. A way to put just enough pressure down to adhere the two parts together. We use mostly standard wood glue in the with the tops, and as I said before, we use all red spruce bracing, no matter what the top material is. Everything is glued on in stages individually. We take pride in cleaning, having extremely clean interiors of the guitars. We can use any type of glue. Hide glue is also available upon request. It's also a traditional way of gluing on the braces. It's a glue, animal-based glue that you heat in warm water, and it was the standard for centuries and centuries before the modern glue came into play.
Chisels and shit. Look at that.
Chisels. Yeah, like chisels and everything. Leaving those around too.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
It's a yoga joke. Yoga joke.
Eventually, I'd like to actually move to Carmel. Carmel Guitar Company in Santa Cruz, California.
There you go.
Make it look a little more natural.